Hi, this is my second hypnosis video on the pendulum. I did do another hypnosis video on the pendulum, and if you're looking at this video right now on another website or an embedded link, then you can go to my YouTube page, which is youtube.com/NancyGeorges, and you can see my first video on the pendulum. But at any rate, that video was very popular and I got a great response, and I wanted to thank everybody for their wonderful feedback and ideas and suggestions. And so I'm just doing a little bit of a follow-up here on the pendulum, just because I think there was some information, well, a lot of information that was left out in that video. So I just wanted to kind of briefly discuss with you about the pendulum, how the pendulum works, and how you can use the pendulum. The way the pendulum works is what's known as ideomotor signals, which is basically a signal that the unconscious mind creates. The unconscious mind ideomotor signals will be like a jerking movement of some sort, and so when you watch the first video and you notice my hand is actually jerking a little bit, that's an ideomotor signal. It's a movement that the conscious mind can't create. If I tried to actually consciously create that movement, even if I tried to create a jerking movement, it would actually be very smooth. Ooh, there's a little bit of bugs here. It would actually be a very smooth movement. So that's the first thing. So the unconscious mind uses the ideomotor signals, and so you're going to see hand movement with the pendulum, and that's the unconscious mind. You can look at the pendulum, or you can not look at the pendulum. It doesn't matter. Some people were a little bothered by the fact that I was looking at the pendulum, and the fact of the matter is, as I mentioned in my introduction to hypnosis, we're walking in hypnosis all day long. So we're in hypnosis with our eyes open. We don't have to have our eyes closed. And we think so much with our left brain. And that's why sometimes doing work with the pendulum is difficult, because we keep thinking in terms of it works this way, it works that way, it has to be like this, it has to be like that. And that's all left brain thinking. And when we're working with the pendulum, we're only talking to the unconscious mind, which is our creative part. It's very right brain. And so we want to let go of a lot of these beliefs and things that we have that tell us we have to do things a certain way. And I want to encourage you just to go ahead and use the pendulum and play around with it. You're not going to hurt yourself by asking your unconscious mind different questions. So the idea with the pendulum is just to go ahead and have fun with it and enjoy it, okay? And so what you want to do is you want to first understand a little bit about what the unconscious mind has information to. That's the first thing, because a lot of times people, they're really not sure what information their unconscious mind has. So they go in and they ask a question, and they may get a neutral signal, or they may get a false yes or a false no. And I think, this is just my opinion, the most useful part of using the pendulum is allowing you to get in contact with your unconscious mind, which allows you to understand really how hypnosis works. You don't have to be in a trance. You don't have to have somebody doing a shock induction. Hypnosis is so many different levels of trance, and hypnosis with the pendulum is just one of those levels. So what I like to do with this is, as I mentioned in the last video, is I like to establish a yes-no signal. Okay, so what I do is I will say in my mind, signal for yes, signal for yes, signal for yes. And that's how I get the signal for yes. Okay, I like to use a pendulum. I've actually seen, even on YouTube, there was a video of a gentleman who did used I think it was headphones, and so he was just demonstrating that you don't actually need a pendulum in order to do the pendulum. However, I like it because it's pretty to look at. I like to get a stable surface, something stable for my elbow, so that it doesn't go numb during the work, because if that part gets a little tired, then the communication gets a little bit tampered with. Okay, so we just ask, we go in and we establish a yes-no signal. So I'm going to say signal for yes, and I'm going to go ahead and close my eyes and say signal for yes, signal for yes, 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 signal for yes, signal for yes. There we go. Okay. Now I'm going to go back to neutral. Neutral, 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 neutral. Okay, now I'm going to do a signal for no. So, signal for no. I'm going to close my eyes. No. Signal for no. Okay. So I've got, as mentioned in my first video, I've got the same information that I got in the last video, but I still continue to, each and every time I do the pendulum work, I always establish signal for yes and signal for no and signal for neutral. Okay? Because my unconscious mind may change its mind. It may say, hey, I want to go this way for yes, I want to go this way for no, and also establish a signal for neutral. That way, when you ask it a question it doesn't know the answer to, and I love this, I ask it a question and nothing happens. Okay? To me, that means that the question is not worded properly in such a way that my unconscious mind can understand it. And you want to ask yes and no questions. That's the best way to get the information that you want, is by asking yes and no questions. Okay? And you want to ask a yes and no question that your unconscious mind has the answer to. So if you would like to see me doing a hypnotic session with the pendulum, you can go back to the first video because I do a really great hypnosis session there with the pendulum. I just wanted to do a brief follow-up from my first video, just to kind of explain to you a little bit about how the pendulum works, and just to encourage you to just go get a pendulum and play with it. Just have fun and just kind of see how your unconscious mind thinks. See how it works for you. Structure some questions. Write some questions out on a sheet of paper. Say, you know, I would really like to know the answer to this question. And by asking your unconscious mind these questions, you can see, is this really structured in such a way that my unconscious mind has that information too. So I hope you found this informative and a good follow-up to my first video. Thanks for watching.